Hi, it's Cami here. I'm back today for the last part of a 7-part video series on the pathway to social media mastery for small businesses. And I am going to be talking today about how to pivot in your social media messaging and all of the different things that you do in that. And I'm going to be talking about how you can use this next little tool, a diagnostic tool, basically, that I've put together for you to do that. So I'm going to share my screen and get started right away. So here it is, pivoting and making small tweaks. So one of the things that I found is really common is that as you start to do your social media, as you start putting it out there, there's going to be times when doesn't seem like it's working. It doesn't seem like it's working. Like you're not getting the connection that you want to get. You're not getting people to, talk with you the way that you want, and you're going to want to make changes. And the real struggle is that you're going to want to just throw everything away that you're doing and try something different, completely and totally different. But here's the thing, you need to look at what you're doing and actually just make very small tweaks to your social media strategy. You do not have to throw the baby out with the bathwater. You just need to make these small tweaks. So I put together this diagnostic tool that will help you to do exactly that. So I'm going to jump right into using the tool and how you can use it for your business. But that's really the thing that I want to keep you from doing is just throwing everything away and starting over. So I know that happens a lot. You may have like a free gift or something that you're trying to put out there and nobody takes it or whatever. So there's just some small tweaks. So let me just jump right in to that. And I'm going to bring it to where we are at right now, which is the innovator stage in this pathway that we've been on for the last 7 weeks. So here's the diagnostic tool. Okay, great. So it's a pivoting framework and I call it different, faster, better, and more. And what you do is that you sit down and you have a discussion with yourself on a piece of paper or with another coworker or with a friend, and you will put this together in this way. So the framework is basically these 4 questions. Do you need to completely change your service? Customer problem you solve. So that is something that is maybe true, but we'll get into that in a minute. Faster. Do you need to decrease the time it takes to get those results? So like sometimes it just takes too long for your audience to get the results they need from you, and you just need to find a way to shorten the process. 3 is better. How can you streamline any part of the process and make it better? So that's another way you can look through it. And then the 4th one is more. How can you add something to make it more appealing? I call it the lanyap. If any of you guys have been to New Orleans, you know that a lanyap is just a little something extra that is thrown in. It's basically a bonus. So how can you give bonuses to the things that you're doing? So right now, especially high touch is really important for that. So people are looking for authenticity and connection with each other and with you. And so there you go. Hey, Nick, I see you. How are you doing? It's good to see you. You're back in Bangkok. It's awesome to see you here. So that's really the 4 steps of the framework. So let me kind of dive into that a little deeper. We're going to be looking at it in these different ways: your offer, your messaging, and your audience. And so you may have to use this framework to kind of narrow in on any of these 3 things. So it could be that your offer needs to be increased. So it may not be how you help people, but the offer that you give them. So what is it that is missing from that offer that they need? What do you need to do more, better, different, or faster to make that offer be much more compelling for people? So you could have the exact same offer with just different wrapping paper on it. So like how you deliver it to people. So I can tell you that's something that's a really hard thing, I think, for some of us to understand, because we think this is what I know my audience needs. I know they need to do XYZ, whatever you're a amazing expert in, and you know exactly what they need to do. But it's kind of like you're trying to sell them the broccoli instead of selling them what they think they need. So they may think they need to have better content, for example, But you know that they just need a better strategy around that content. Like that needs to be much more strategic across the board or consistency. But they don't want to hear that. They want to hear, how do I make more content? And so you need to like teach them how to make more content, but do it in a way that's strategic so that you get them to do what you know they need to do, but they get what they want. I know that may not make 100% sense. I'll keep digging in here so you get it. But that's like the offer. And then the messaging is around that too. So like, how do you message to people what they need so that you draw them in, help them solve that problem that they think they have, and then in the process help them get even deeper into the problem that you know that they need to actually solve. Because usually there's always an underlying problem to any surface problem that our audience thinks that they have. And as the expert, you are going to know what that underlying problem is, but it often doesn't come off very well, so it comes off too vague or too whatever. So I've heard a lot of people that say, I want to, make people have their best life. But what does that mean? Like, what is your best life? People might not be looking for their best life. I mean, they're definitely looking for their best life, but they're looking for how to make their best life better. So, anyway, that's how it goes. So you want to really like look at that and say, how can I message it just a slight bit different to get there? And then the third thing is the audience. And again, so if you have your audience may be too broad, that often happens. We want to help everyone. We want to make sure that we're open to helping everyone, but your messaging and needs to be to a specific audience. Even if you end up helping other people that are broader than that audience, you want to start with a specific audience, or at least a specific problem that you solve, that's very, very specific. So if you get too broad, it gets hard for people to understand what you do and who you help, and you become unreferable. And that's the key. Even if somebody looks at your stuff, your goal is that if they look at it and it's not for them, they think of somebody who it is for. So you want to make sure that you're constantly thinking about that in the audience thing. Hi, Mr. D. Scott Smith. Nice to see you too. I am just going to say hi to the couple of you who are here so far. So that is really key. You want your questions to consider your offer, your messaging, and your audience. So going back again to the strategy, and you may not be able to see this that well, so I'm going to really make it as big as I can. But I do have this, and you can screenshot this if you want, but there's a list of services and products that you have right now. I want you to put those onto a spreadsheet or onto a piece of paper and list out your products and services. And beside them, I want you to talk about the customer you serve for each of these products. And they may be different. You may have different customers for different products. I know that, if you're a nonprofit, for example, you're going to have people that you want to serve as a population. But on the other hand, you're going to want to have people that you are getting money from. Those are two different audiences, right? And so, hi. And so these are your customers served. And then the problem solved are the next thing you want to talk about. So if you have this service and you're serving this customer, what problem is it that you're solving for them? And put that here. And then you can do the same thing with all of your services just down the line, and broadly. If you have tons and tons of services, put them in broad buckets, okay? Don't do each product you have. Put them into buckets, maybe by customer served, right? And then for each one of these, I want you to go through the process that I showed you earlier, which is more, better, different, faster, better, and more. Let me go back and I'll show you that. We can talk about that again. So if you do that, you're going to ask the question for each one. Say, how can I make this a little different? How can I change this a little bit or add something to it to make it just a little bit different? To meet their needs more fully than what I'm doing right now. That could be one thing that you ask. Then you can go to the faster bucket and say, do you need to decrease the time it takes for them to get results with your current product in that category? Maybe you can't go faster, maybe you can. Can you remove a step? Can you do a step for them to make it easier for them to get to that point? It just depends. And then better, how can you streamline any part of the process and make it better? So that is actually a little bit different than the first one. Different is like how can you, do you need to change it like at the core? Better is just like, how can you add something to it? How can you streamline it? How can you make it more simple for them to go from A to B? And then more, that is, how can you add a existing product or service or something with it that is going to make it more attractive to them. So it's not necessarily making something more inside the product itself here. I'm talking about adding another thing that is maybe similar, but also has like the ability to make people think, oh gosh, this is a no-brainer offer, right? This is a no-brainer offer. So that is those are the 4 steps and what you need to do in each category. So let me kind of jump back into what I was showing you before, because I did this on my stuff so that I could kind of talk to you about it. So for Smart Social Secrets, I have a course. It was really aimed at entrepreneurs, and I wanted to know, how could I do this? And I went through the process, and I said, I went with the more. I wanted to serve them with a high touch online course offering and continue nurturing with regular social media content and a more robust email strategy. So this was the more that I put in. I put in email. I put in like a actually done with you kind of component rather than just, online, you're on your own, have fun. So that I added a little more to it to put it into a kind of a package. Another list of service or product here is Smart Social Secrets course plus a monthly membership, which is now called Smart Social Mastery. I've come a little way since I actually put this together. We are actually just about to open back up again soon, but Smart Social Mastery is really a month-to-month program where we help you to stay on track and continue to keep your social media and your visibility content up and running. And so really they wanted to learn how to do a comprehensive social media plan. So in addition to the nurturing content, we create a monthly mentorship program that keeps them on the cutting edge of everything new in social media, the monthly membership, and that's there. So that was better. Like, so you go from a course, which is really limited, right? It's just like 6 weeks and it's over. And then, we went to the membership, which is ongoing, where I'm making sure that every single month you are staying on top of your visibility content and you can get your questions answered. And there's a really great community around it. And that's really the better, right? So it went from being just a course to a community, which I always think is better, but that's my bias. And then the third thing I have here is Smart Social Secrets course again, and I wanted to do it faster. So the pain point for this client type has changed. Really, I was looking at ad and marketing agencies. So a lot of agencies will hire us to come in and actually help them to put together their social media marketing strategy that they're going to use with clients and also for their business. The big problem with social media agencies and marketing and advertising and PR agencies is that we don't necessarily promote ourselves very well. And so sometimes there's an issue with that. But really the pain point for this has changed. They need to hold on to clients and prove ROI right now. So we wanted to do this faster. So we wanted to do a faster approach where we would nurture and listen, and we would go in and do an actual training with their staff so that their staff was much more responsive and quick on the ball to do this. And so that has been the 3 things as an example of how you could do this, where I have done different ideas for each one. So you don't have to do all of the different, faster, better, and more for each one. You want to read through them and say, and at this time in my product, in this product line for this customer, what do I need to do to make it just a little bit more effective? So does that make sense to everyone? Do you have any questions about that? Let me know in the comments if you do. But I do think that that's a really important thing, is just to go through on a regular basis, maybe once a year or twice a year, go through your product line and think about what you can do to add just a little bit more different things and just slightly position it differently to get better results with your audience. And then your messaging needs to go around that too. So like, how do you put that messaging out? Do you need to change your messaging? Have you been using the same messaging for decades and now you need to change it? Or do you need to make these things? So you can look at that in those 3 areas, as I said in here. I'll go back one so you can see that. And that's really that. Hold on a minute. That's your permanence. I want to talk to you about that too. But think about this in terms of your offers, your messaging, and your audience, and go through each one to figure out what you're doing. All right. So finally, at the very end, I also want to talk about questions to consider about this process. First of all, one of the things that I think that we often don't realize is that um, we always think that everything's permanent, right? Like we're doing this thing and it's always going to be the same. And that's just not the way that it is going to be in this day's age. We actually have to move quicker. We have to be more flexible. And so you want to think about these things in the terms of, these different ideas as, is it permanent? Will this pivot be permanent or temporary for your business? So you may, for like some of these things, make temporary pivots during a specific season for a sale or for an offer, and then go back to what you had before or change it slightly again. Is it harmonizing? Is this new offer idea in your wheelhouse? So that's the other thing I want you to be careful about. If you go all the way to like different and you completely change your product, remember that you have something you're known for. So can you harmonize that with what you've already done so that people aren't like, where is this coming from? So, one day you're not a cooking chef genius, and the next day that you are a social media marketing, expert. You kind of want to think about that. I know some people have put those together, and I love that. But is that your thing? So you need to really put that together. And then pricing, how does the pricing you offer now work with where you want to end up? So you also want to think about this in terms of pricing too. So one of the things is that you may have to change your pricing either to be more or less, or are you trying to get a volume? Or are you trying to sell a more expensive product to fewer people? And that'll also really dictate your marketing, like where you're going with that. You may not need like a really complicated funnel if all you work with is 10 clients a year, right? You may need just a real simple funnel with like really high touch pieces in it. And but you do need to have a plan. Okay, so that more, better, different, faster, it can change pretty drastically based on your who you are and who you're trying to help at that moment. So it's a really flexible tool. I hope that you try to use it. And one way you can get this tool and just kind of get it easier and get this video and replay. Another thing is to sign up for the Pathway to Mastery workshop that is in the promo copy for this, wherever you're watching this. There is a link. And if you click on that, you can go and see this whole 7-part series, which ends with this particular video. And this will help you to put all of this together, because we've been talking all along about who's your client, who's your customer, all of that stuff through this. And I hope that you will go and grab all of that information through the video portal. So that is it, guys. I am hoping that you're having a great day, and I look forward to talking to you more. And definitely grab the video series, and we will talk to you later. I will be back next Thursday with another Smart Social Secrets tip. Bye.